All right, what is up? Good morning, PT on Ice Daily Show. Thanks for being here early on a Monday. Again, like last week, I apologize for the appearance of my eye. Too old to be screwing around at the gym. For those of you who weren't on the show last week, I caught a pretty good elbow to the side of the noggin. It's gotten pretty black and blue on me over the past couple of days. So my apologies for that eyesore. But hope everyone's doing great. Kind of a bummer on the Packers. Hope everyone's having a good Monday morning. Is off to a good start. So first things first, couple courses coming up. So many of you are looking to grab that CMFA Live course, and we have two of them coming up. One of them is going to be in Houston at the end of January, early February. It's February 1, 2. And then the other one's going to be in Vancouver. So up in Canada with our AMP partners, February 15, 16. The first one, I believe, is Zach Long, and the second one is Mitch Babcock. But if you want to grab that course, get up there and get after that. So those are coming up. Everything, as always, is on ptonice.com. So Q&A Monday, and we've had a ton of good ones. And one that I want to tackle this morning is, what risks can a clinician take that will give positive outcomes in their careers that most PTs won't take or won't do? Right? Hey, what's up, Aaron? Good to see you. So, Bob, thank you for the question. I know it came in a few weeks ago. We apologize. There's quite a few of them coming in. But that is an awesome question that I would love to field, right? Like, what risks can you take that will significantly separate you from the other individuals in those first few years out of school? Honestly, I think a lot of these can last as far outside of getting out of school as you want. But the question maybe is targeted best to that new grad, or at least I'm going to try to hit that one in the head. There are three things that come directly to mind that I think about all the time, because I am mentoring so many folks that are coming out of South College, coming out into their programs, into that first few years, and want to know how they can separate themselves. And consistently over time, I have observed these three things to make more of a dramatic effect on career acceleration than anything else. So number one, and it's not a popular one, many of you years ago who've been following us on Twitter and Periscope will remember when I posted that quote, that if geography is dictating your decisions, you don't have dreams, you have plans. Caused a bit of a firestorm, right? But I stand by it, right? If geography is deciding where you go, you don't have professional dreams, you have plans. And that's not a bad thing, but it is a thing, right? It's definitely a different thing when other variables are dictating where you are going to look for your professional growth. It limits what you can get for professional growth. It is a very different student, individual animal who shows up and says to me, Jeff, I don't care where I have to go, right? I will go to the Arctic. I just want to become the best ever at my craft. That is a very different situation than somebody who says, I want to get really good, Dr. Moore, but here's a couple things about that. Like, I do need to be in Atlanta. I do. Once those limiting factors come into the scenario, the ability to get that person maximal benefit and professional growth obviously hastens, right? Because with greater flexibility comes greater opportunity. And geography is the number one thing that can limit flexibility and thus opportunity. If you have to go to a certain area, our ability to look at the entire flow and give you the absolute best opportunity is dramatically handcuffed. Right. I think about it very similar. So a lot of folks will want to come out to Colorado and come skiing with us, right? And of course they want a really good ski day. And it's very different when somebody says, hey, Jeff, I want to come skiing. I really want to ski Great Powder. I only need a couple days notice and I can bounce out there. So watch the storms, watch the mountain, watch the traffic. I know that I'm going to get that person a killer ski day. Because with greater flexibility comes greater opportunity. I can now watch all the forecasts. I can choose the mountain on a very short notice. I can give that person a buzz. We are going to land them on an incredible ski day. Versus the person that says, Jeff, I really want to get out there and ski. I can either come on February 17th or March 22nd. It's like, well, overall, I would say the yearly trend suggests that this day might be better. Ultimately, we're going to be crossing our fingers and hope that we have a good experience. That is very similar to how I look at someone trying to create professional growth. If they say it has to happen like this, The odds of it happening anywhere near the top 20% are very low. Whereas if somebody says, hey, you're driving, I just need it to happen, I will do any of the other sacrifices that need to come along with that, including being anywhere I need to be whenever I need to be there. Our ability to get that person in the right hands, in the right scenario, with the other variables in play to create maximal professional growth is maximized. With greater flexibility comes greater opportunity. And geography is the number one thing that either limits or enhances that. So by far, the number one risk, Bob, is being willing to put yourself anywhere from a geographical perspective to maximize your professional development. And it is a risk because, I mean, especially if you have family you're moving with, if you've got relationships, or you have people who are involved with your life or your kids' life. Like, I'm aware that moving on a whim and moving anywhere creates challenges, which is why it results in the greatest level of opportunities. So that's by far number one. Okay, number two, the number two big risk that is only really newly being seen as a risk, but that big risk that if you take it, it will separate you compared to those who don't, is being patient. And I would say that for years, if you would have asked me this question, it would have been no-brainer. Number one was geography. That was by far the one thing that limited people in how much growth that they underwent. But I'm starting to think as the years go on now that these two are getting close to flipping, that being patient is moving in front of flexible geography for maximizing professional growth. So what I mean by being patient is focusing on horizontal growth, on relationship growth, versus what you might call vertical or visible growth, like maybe growing your personal brand, like you having a business and growing that, like immediately either in school or coming out of school, right? I believe that focusing on the horizontal or relationship growth versus and intentionally neglecting or holding on the vertical or personal growth might be nowadays the single greatest factor, even beyond geography, in separating yourself from your peers. In my opinion, a strong relationship, which takes a year or two of sacrifice on both parties, but a strong relationship that can withstand stress that is formed on common vision and values, is worth at least 5, if not more, years of individual growth. 5 to 10 times what I think a year of individual work is worth. Because a strong relationship, if it goes on and thrives for 10 to 20 years, the combined forces and productivity of what you can do together besides separate, like the scale of that is absolutely hard to get your head around from a magnitude perspective versus trying to do everything by yourself, right? But if you come out of the gates early under your brand, it's going to be really hard to sow those relationships horizontally. So ultimately, when you do hit the go button, come out as a tour de force team, and it's going to be impossible for over time the individual to compete with the team. Do not get me wrong, and this is what makes it so hard. So especially in the past couple of years, because first of all, there's so much hype now around launching your own thing and doing your own thing that it's so hard to sit back and watch other people seem to succeed while you're building horizontal relationships. So you don't get any of like those pats in the back or like, hey, it's so great what you're doing. Like, I see what you're doing on social media. Like you're choosing to not have any of that, to deepen and grow these horizontal relationships, right? Which is really hard. It's even harder nowadays because the ability for individuals who go alone and go early, the ability for them to create the illusion of success is so good. Anybody at almost anything can appear to be successful for a couple of years the way that things are currently set up. Because if you're willing to spend a massive amount of time on social media, on putting things together, on sponsoring posts, you're going to be able to make it look as though what you're doing is really killing it. The problem is the long game of that is very limited, but you've got nobody else to lean on. There's nobody else covering your weaknesses. There's nobody else to bounce ideas off of. The horizontal structure isn't there, so the longevity isn't there, but the appearance early of success is there. So when you're the person holding back, it's hard to watch that. It's hard to watch that and say, oh, but look, those guys are killing it. Like, I should be doing that. I should launch now. Those who are willing to understand this concept and say, I will launch when I feel that I have a group around me, that we have went through enough together, and collectively our vision is strong enough, our values are synonymous enough, that we can withstand anything. I will go when I feel that way. I will build that. I will work on fine-tuning our vision. I will work on fine-tuning our relationships, on understanding where everybody is coming from, what they need to get out of what we're trying to do in the next 10 to 20 years. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. You can't go together if you haven't sown the relationships. If you are willing to wait on your personal brand launch and instead sow horizontal relationships and do a collective launch, whatever it is you're trying to do is going to have a legitimate shot at decade over decade success, and not just a shot of success, but a shot of doing it with a team that creates a level of fulfilling that individual endeavors are always going to fail to. Because there's so much hype, because the illusion of success is so real nowadays, right? It appears that other folks are doing so well. This skill or this discipline is probably the hardest to sow in this day and age. If you do it, because of all of that, if you do it, it's probably the most valuable. Realize that the only thing that never works is doing what everybody else is doing. In business, the only thing that never works is that. And that is what everybody else is doing. Putting a massive amount of hype, right, on an immediate launch with limited horizontal reach, horizontal branches, horizontal relationships. If you also do it, the odds of that being tremendously successful and sustainable and enduring long-term really aren't there. This is the whole idea of, it's the whole idea of the stock market. Right? The one time you know that it's probably time to begin pulling away is when all popular appeal says the market's going to blow up, right? It's all about going against the grain. It's all about standing out and being unique in your time and place that has a real chance of creating sustainable and durable success. If you can hold back in light of all of that, you are unique. If you are unique, you've got a shot at being special. You've got a shot at doing something special. Right now, with all of the hype and all of the appearance of success, if you throttle back and form horizontal relationships, you are putting yourself in a position that very few other people 13 years from now are going to have a chance of standing next to you. If you want to go fast, go alone. You can do it. You can totally do it. And it will certainly, especially early on, appear that it's working. If you want to go far, hold back. Think about it. Think about it. It's probably my favorite quote of all time. All right, number 3. I know I'm getting kind of long. Where am I? I don't know. Number 3. Big risks other people won't do that if you do them make you a different animal. That was the question. Being willing to do things that you don't like well. That's a big one. That's a big one, right? Seeing patients that aren't necessarily in your wheelhouse. Being that person in the company who rolls in and says, I'll work the Saturdays. I know I'm the new guy. I'll work the Saturdays. I know none of you want to do it. None of you should have to do it. I just rolled in, right? But being willing to do the things that nobody else wants to do well. Working on things that aren't your passion project, but executing in a way that resembles your character, right? Done well, done timely, even on things that aren't driven by your personal passion. Going to work when the hours are miserable. The reason this is a risk is because oftentimes you have other relationships, and the reason nobody wants to do those things is they're hard on relationships. It's hard to be the person who has to go to work on a Saturday, Sunday, or holiday. It's hard on your family or your girlfriend or boyfriend when you're coming home at 9 o'clock every night. Right? And you're out of sync with everybody else. It's frustrating for everybody. So that strain on you and your relationships is a real thing. Because of that, right? If you can withstand that, if you can communicate and everybody understands why you're doing what you're doing, if you can do that when others can't, it puts you in a special spot. You stand out in a way of like, what is up with that gal? Like, she'll do it. Like, she's always happy to roll in. Like, even when everybody else is exhausted, even when we only have 3 patients on the books, she doesn't mind being here. She just seems to be sacrificing at a different level. I think this is bigger for her than most people. When people start thinking about you like that, you are simply just in a very different light on the way the organization, company affiliations move forward. Being willing to do things you don't necessarily love early on because it benefits the team, because it helps you build those horizontal relationships. Right? Being able to execute in that manner makes you special, makes you unique. Uniqueness creates success. It's in all of these areas. I hope you're beginning to realize that trend. The person who says, I don't care where we live. It's not about that. We'll enjoy wherever we live, right? What I need to do is be somewhere for 3 years that I become better than anywhere else I would have gotten. I need to be great, not good. That drives me. Anything else is unacceptable. Put me wherever I got to go, right? If I'm going to Antarctica, I'll buy a parka, right? Whatever, right? Tell me where I have to be to become great, and I will show up one day early. That is unique. That is abnormal. Saying, I'm going to hold back. I'm not going to pull the trigger. Not yet. My team's not ready. I'm not sure we understand each other. I'm not sure it's my go time. I'm going to hold back a bit and foster these relationships. It's unique. It's special. It's different. People aren't doing that right now. Everyone's pulling the trigger and getting the pat on the back. Saying, I'll be here on Saturday. No problem. I got that. I'll work till 8 p.m. I don't mind doing the 1 to 8. I know it's kind of awkward. I can skip dinner that night. I'm on that one. Unique, different, special. Those 3 things, as a new grad or anybody else, when you are able to adhere to them, you can never say guarantee success. But if those are not obstacles and you're able to separate yourself from the pack by executing upon those 3 areas, you are certainly taking risks that most PTs won't, that because of that can put you in a place that most PTs can't be, right? Today, I will do what others won't, so that tomorrow I can do what others can't, right? Jerry Rice, right? 49ers receiver, but now one of the best known quotes probably in all of business. And I love the saying, today I will do what others will not, so that tomorrow I can do what others cannot. That's what it's all about. Do you understand where the areas are that you can do different? And by different, I mean better, to put yourself with a tomorrow that other people can't access. I think that was the question I was asked. And I think those areas of geography, patience, and execution on non-passion projects are the biggest 3. Let me know what you think. I know the whole geography one is always contentious. I mean, I was fielding emails for literally 6 months after I said that if geography is dictating your decisions, you don't have dreams, you have plans. I will stand by that even more in 2020 than I did in 2013 or whenever we said that. If that person comes to me and says, Dr. Moore, I don't care where you put me. I just want to become great. I know I've got a totally different animal on my hands, and my ability to create that greatness is unparalleled. Team, PTOnIce.com. Again, sorry about the black eye. I'm hoping by next week it's going to be gone, but I took a pretty good elbow, so it might hang around for a bit. Everybody, have a wonderful Monday. I'm sorry about the Packers. I'm from very nearby Green Bay. That was painful. Everything else about the weekend was great. Everybody get out of here. Go enjoy your work day or your day off. Everyone, cheers.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to the PT on Ice Daily Show. If you enjoyed this content, head on over to iTunes and leave us a review. And be sure to check us out on Facebook and Instagram at the Institute of Clinical Excellence. If you're interested in getting plugged into more ICE content on a weekly basis while earning CEUs from home, check out our virtual ICE online mentorship program at ptonice.com. While you're there, sign up for our Hump Day Hustling newsletter for a free email every Wednesday morning with our top 5 research articles and social media posts that we think are worth reading. Head over to ptonice.com and scroll to the bottom of the page to sign up.